She has the bone structure of a 10-year-old.
And she's only 2.
All that black area is fat.
Hi, it's about Nikki. We drove across the country to pick her up, to rescue her. We actually thought that her issue was just an issue with her eyes, but it turned out to be much worse. When she arrived to the Grey House, she started having shakes. She wasn't feeling well. She wasn't standing up. We drove her to the hospital and we did all the necessary tests. There is a big problem with her glucose levels. She has hypoglycemia and it goes up and down. So we have really investigated this, and the results, you need to watch this. Please, this is Nikki.
She weighs 53 kilos and 250 grams. Let's see if she can see or not.
It seems like she can only partially see.
Complete blood work, pre-surgery, because she'll be seen by the ophthalmologist in Valencia. Let's see if we can sedate her a bit to take some hip x-rays.
How old is she?
2 years.
She's young. Look how she supports herself. She's got hip dysplasia there.
We're going to sedate her a little to take the hip x-rays.
To make her more comfortable.
Plus, those positions are painful.
I'm going to put in a line because when we do the hips, it'll bother her and she'll need propofol. She has difficulty standing up, but she's not really limping as such.
Well, a little bit, yes.
We were discussing her age because, radiographically, she doesn't look like a dog that's almost 2 years old. She has a very advanced process of osteoarthritis in her spine called discospondylosis. On the other hand, we did the x-rays of her hips, and they're in pretty bad shape, especially the right one. She has a fairly pronounced hip dysplasia, with half of the femoral head already out, and the joint area has lost its healthy joint shape.
Let's check her glucose because it's showing a bit low in the blood tests.
Ahí en las analíticas un poquito bajo de rango. Ahí.
It's low,
Está bajo.
meaning her glucose is a little down, and we need to give her intravenous glucose. That's why she seemed weaker and more tired during the consultation.
The following day, we tested Nikki's glucose levels and noticed that the results fluctuated significantly, ranging between 46 and 90. We were very concerned about this, as it was unusual for her levels to be so unstable. We decided to urgently take her back to Vet Clinic's hospital to find out why this was happening.
Bueno, nos vamos de urgencia
We're rushing out with our friend Nikki because her glucose is very low.
porque el azúcar lo tiene muy bajo, la glucosa, y tenemos
And we
que
need
hacer
to do
más
more
pruebas.
tests.
Así que nos vamos
So
a
we're heading to
Benissa
Benissa to see what they say.
que dicen en Benissa.
The problem is that her glucose isn't rising.
No le sube la glucosa.
The first thing we're going to do is check her glucose levels. If it's low, we'll need to supplement her with intravenous glucose, and then we'll do an abdominal ultrasound to see if there's something that could explain the hypoglycemia.
She hasn't eaten anything.
Since when?
She ate a little yesterday.
El primer día.
Has she had any vomiting or diarrhea?
Yes, she's vomited, regurgitated food, and also vomited a hairball.
Let's do the ultrasound and see.
Rosa has given her a sedative shot, and we're going to do the ultrasound now. I'd like to take this opportunity to say, don't let your dogs get overweight, because it makes it very difficult to do tests, ultrasounds, and administer anesthesia. They could die over something minor.
There's a cyst on the cranial pole of the right kidney, 1 centimeter in diameter, which is usually genetic. From the ultrasound, I've seen that her pancreas is slightly inflamed. I don't see any nodules that would suggest a pancreatic tumor, which could explain the low glucose. I didn't see anything, but we can't rule it out entirely. It's rare for a young animal to have a pancreatic tumor, but it could be one of the causes. I noticed some mild degenerative changes in the kidneys, and one of them has a cyst. These are usually genetic problems, and as long as the kidneys function well in the blood tests, they generally don't cause problems, except in the long term, when they may grow and eventually lead to kidney failure. Her spleen is slightly heterogeneous. We've repeated Nikki's blood tests to see if there are any changes. She's not anemic, and we're at the same point with the blood, but some changes have shown up. Part of her white blood cells are slightly elevated, and at first her platelets seemed low, but that's not real because there are aggregates, so it's not a true count. In the other part of the blood test, we see that her glucose is higher than normal, at 166. This is normal, since the blood sample was taken after giving her glucose intravenously. This is a good sign, because she's responded well, but we need to keep monitoring to see how her glucose levels evolve. She still has elevated globulins, which are part of the body's proteins. They can indicate something inflammatory or neoplastic. I'd like to rule out any pancreatic issues. On the other hand, there are endocrine diseases that can cause this kind of situation. We'll do a CT scan to rule out any nodules in the pancreas, and at the same time we'll check if her adrenal glands are small, though they seemed fine on the ultrasound.
She has the bone structure of a 10-year-old.
And she's only 2.
All that black area is fat, and so is this. Nikki's body condition is unbelievable. We have Nikki's CT scan here. We've done a full reconstruction. This is her spine, and these are her ribs. All of her abdominal organs would be here, and as we saw in the x-rays, she has a quite advanced spinal issue. Here we can also see how she has discospondylosis, which is an osteoarthritis process in her spine, in a patient who's currently less than 2 years old, but already has an advanced condition. One of her adrenal glands is smaller than the other. Usually, when there's Addison's disease, which is an endocrine disorder that can explain why Nikki's blood glucose is low and stays low even after eating, both adrenal glands tend to be smaller. In her case, only one is small, and the other is normal. It might not be the cause of her hypoglycemia, but we need to rule it out with a specific blood test.
Besides the blood test, any other tests?
We'd like to do 2 specific blood tests. One is to check her insulin levels. To do this test, we need to catch a moment of real hypoglycemia. And we also want to do an ACTH stimulation test to rule out or confirm Addison's disease. That's the plan for now.
After analyzing everything carefully, the CT scan, the glucose levels, and everything, turns out that what she has is a tumor in her pancreas. It's called insulinoma. And the only way to save her is going to surgery and take it out. She needs to go into surgery as quickly as possible, and we need your help. Please, if you can, that's Nikki. Help us save her. Please donate. She needs you. Thank you.